Parents, especially mothers, what do you do when you have a small child around the age of 2, 3 years old up to a preteen that's out of control, very disobedient? The old word we used to use was managed. Bad behavior. Don't know how to behave in the public. Won't follow instructions or directions from you. Can't tell them anything. And they even talk back. What do? You beat their behind. Why are your children like this in the first place? Quick answer: you've never done your job. For some reason, you felt it unnecessary to spank your children. That's what's wrong. You know what's crazy is that people are very sensitive about criticism concerning their children. They are. Constructive criticism at that. They don't want you to tell them that their children are out of control when it's obvious that their children are out of control. These parents, so called, have not done their job. They are not doing their job, and they have not been doing their jobs. You just can't talk to your child alone. Don't do that, Bobby. Stop, Susie. Stop, Karen, and expect it to be okay. It doesn't work that way. Now, you raise your children from here all the way up. You don't wait until they become teenagers and young adults to start trying to discipline them. It's going to be a time when they're going to start telling you what they will and won't do, and even cursing you out. And unfortunately, this happens with white families, lower income white families to middle income white families, poor working class white families, more so than blacks. But it does happen. You can't be your child's friend. You are their mothers and their fathers. Keep it in proper context, proper perspective. And when it comes down to it, not all the time, when it comes down to it and you have to administer a whipping, you must do what you must do. That is when they won't follow directives. You have to whip that behind. It's that simple. Now, you might think it's out of order, or if you're in public and they act out on you, you might wonder what people will think. No, take them off to the side somewhere and whip their behind when appropriate. I understand. Seemingly the law is against us, has changed where they don't allow you to touch your children. Seemingly. That's not their call. God gave you those children for you to raise, not the government, federal, state, or local. Those are your children. For those that understand. Now, if your child is cursing you out, calling you names, telling you what they will and will not do, and staying out all times of night and coming home when they feel like it, especially if they're teenagers, something's wrong with you as a parent. You have failed. Don't blame it on anyone else outside of you. Discipline starts in the home first. It's not up to the educational system to raise your children. It's your job to raise your children, to install ethics in your children, to install manners in your children, to install respect in your children for authority, that is. If you don't start while they're young, They're going to be out of control when they get older and in the judicial system and in the graveyard. So, which way will you have it, parents? So, stop trying to mull over this and say, it's this reason or that reason, or I don't know why they're behaving this way. Yes, you do. Your child doesn't reach a certain age and just all of a sudden start becoming unruly. Your child was growing up unruly because you didn't keep your hand on them all along. One of the most difficult jobs one can ever have is to raise another mind. Your child. That's a difficult job. The point is, a lot of people have had children that they were not prepared to have in the first place because they were not willing to do everything necessary to raise that child. You may not like what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not correct or factual, because it is. Now, if you're one of those parents that did not treat your children with a firm hand and they're out of control, I feel sorry for you. Because once they have established their identity, it is very difficult and almost impossible to go back and raise them again to be the right child or person that they should have been in the first place with proper discipline. If you are a brand new parent, take my word and my advice now. Stop trying to be so soft. Be firm. Show love, but show love with a firm hand. I know they're cute when they're first born, but if you don't raise them properly, they are going to get really ugly. It's that simple. Don't make it harder than what it is. So, I hope that you pray every day that your child is going to be okay as they grow into an adult. I do. Because you're only going to get one go at this chance at childhood for them, you know? Be the best version of a parent that you possibly can right now. And you know what? Even if your child doesn't like it, even if they tell you that they hate you, guess what? They'll love you for the discipline when they get older, if you start when they're younger. It's not that hard. It's really not. That's all I had to say.